Hey everyone, I'm Kevin and welcome back to KDX Bricks Analytics, where we talk everything Lego investing and reselling. And it's been a little while, sorry about that, but I've got my next power rankings video. My top 10 Lego sets for investing right now and my crazy hair day are going to get right into it. This is my second power rankings video of 2025. I'll do one more right before the end of this year. In this video, one set out, one new set in, and a bunch of sets moved around. And starting in 10th place, I've got the New York City Skyline Architecture set. And this one experienced a big drop, all the way from second place down to 10th, the biggest drop in this video. Here it is on Brickset, 10-year shelf life, which I actually think is a positive for this set. I know that sounds crazy. Typically, long shelf life is horrible, but when we talk long shelf life, we're talking 4, 5, or 6 years. But when you get a set that runs 10 years, it means the demand is so high. The Lego continues to make tons of money by keeping it on the shelves. And if a set is going to run with very high demand for 10 years, then why not 20 or 30 years? It makes sense being a New York City set. But I dropped it down because the set is going for even less on eBay than my previous power rankings video. This one is 56 with shipping. Not sure what's happening there, but this is more accurate. Below 40 with shipping. Here's 30 with shipping. It was a bids, 40 with shipping. And it's a lot of the same as we keep on scrolling down. So I do worry about the low prices. It will be a little bit of a longer hold time. All of the secondary market supply is going to have to burn off before it does grow in value. I mean, check this out. The prices are getting so low on eBay that this one is upside down, just like my house. No, I'm totally kidding. But send any KDX house donations care of Mrs. KDX. Again, I'm totally kidding. And then the other reason I dropped it down is because it has 288 listings on eBay right now. That is an increase of 12 since my last video. Not a huge percentage increase, but still it's an increase. I'd like to see those numbers start dropping. And then I didn't look at this metric in my first power rankings video, but on Amazon, there are 56 other sellers, and that's a huge number on Amazon. But like I said, it's not all bad. Here's the sales velocity, 2,000 a month still, even though it is a 10-year-old set. 20% off right now, but it's been 20% off so much that's basically the regular price. I don't think this is an increase in sales velocity because of the discount price right now. And on camel.com, yep, there's the green line showing all of those Amazon sales. But if we look at third-party sales, many times in the past and even a little bit recently, prices are going above the recommended retail price. The supply and demand bot in the Ignite Discord, which is from Shane at BrickBucks. Link in the description of this video. First month free, helps out DG Bricks and I and all the podcasts that we do on his channel. But yeah, the supply and demand bot for this set actually looks really good still. A lot of green on the left side, a little bit of red on the right, and that is the Amazon sale price when it goes out of stock. Obviously, you're losing money compared to the retail price after shipping and fees. But again, it's been out so long, there's a lot of supply, going to have to wait for that supply to burn off. But on the left, which is all of the demand, it still has an average sales rank lifetime below 2,500 and recently below 2,000 and lots of daily drops. That is an indication of a lot of purchases throughout the day. So that is all green and it looks great. On my mentions and enthusiasm score, cumulative table has 7 mentions for investing. That is one more than last video, but it dropped by a 10th to a 1.6 enthusiasm score. And if we scroll way down here, it has 3 mentions against investing. If you're new to my channel and not familiar with this data and table that I collect from watching all of the other Lego investing and reselling videos on YouTube, check out a few of my videos. I give a good explanation every 3 or 4 videos at the beginning. Oh, and also click right here or here, I forget, to watch the first power rankings video. I'm not going to go over every data point in this video for each set that I went over in that video. And then before we wrap up this first set, let's look at some comparables. There are 14 architecture Skyline sets. The most recent one that was released was Singapore. It already retired last year, retailed for $60, and it is showing $48 on Brickset. Hasn't been that long of a hold time yet, but all the others doing pretty well. Tokyo, 60 to 67, Dubai, 60 to 81, San Francisco that retired in 2021, 50 to 73. This one had some negativity and concern around it and still doing well. And then when you scroll down, the prices just get better and better because they're older sets. So of course I want to get it on discount, hopefully 35% off at some point. But all the data that I'm seeing leads me to believe that this is an evergreen set. I feel like it's going to be a solid 75 to 100% return on investment after a couple year hold time. There's no precedent that this set would be re-released. This sub theme is so clean, so sharp. I'm sure more New York City related and themed sets will be coming, but I can't imagine exactly like this taking the place of this great one that has stood as a very popular set for so many years. And now in ninth place, with no change in its ranking, we are going to Nintendo, and we're going to the Mighty Bowser. It's still a phenomenal set, and honestly, it still feels like it's flying under the radar some. I don't think it's been on sale much. It's not talked about a ton, but it is such a great build. I think it is going to do really, really well. The 3.25 year shelf life is still pretty long, but on eBay now it's going for an average of $260, including shipping, which is up $10 from my last video. Only 69 listings on eBay, which is 5 less than last time. And today there are only 10 Amazon sellers. Those are good indications that it's not oversupplied yet on the secondary market. And then the Camel 3X chart is looking good. Yeah, like I said, basically never on sale. Looks like it's out of stock a fair amount on Amazon. If we put on the third-party sellers, boom, there's a lot of jumps there. Even recently, a decent chunk above retail. I want to show you Bucky on this one too. The frustration-free listing on Amazon has a lot of green on the table. And then the secondary listing on Amazon also has a lot of green on the table. Again, a little bit of red on the sold price when it's out of stock by Amazon. From the data I collect, it is up to 6 mentions, one more than last video, and it has an enthusiasm score of 2.7, which is a 10th higher. Here on Brickset, it has a phenomenal 4.4 rating and a really good want to own ratio. Almost 5,000 members own it, almost 2,200 want it. That is a 45%. And then of course I have to show you some comparables, searching Nintendo on Brickset and ordering by the value highest to lowest. Here's the NES, retailed for $270, $242. People did get it on sale. I wasn't super excited about that one. Here's the 64 question block, retailed for $200, $193, but it just retired at the end of last year. I am more excited about this one. Here's the Mighty Bowser, and then a few other larger sets have been coming out recently. Bowser's Castle with the Action Playset series retired in 2021, $100 to $110. That one was on sale a lot. And then like Dry Bowser Castle that just retired, and some other sets, but there's some decent comparables, not great in the Mario and Nintendo themes. But then I went through Brickset and picked out some other sets that I thought were pretty comparable. So here's the Jurassic Park T-Rex Rampage, retired at the end of 21, retailed for $250, showing $318 on Brickset. The huge Hulkbuster for $550, showing $456. That's crazy good because this set was on sale so much, 30, sometimes 40% off. Backing promos, people were getting it for 50% off. So if it's going for $460, $456, that's decent. And then the Black Panther bust still doing very poor at $205. So, you know, not all of these large figure sets do that well. This one is struggling. But then you've got the Batcave Shadow Box, retired last year, $400 to $481. But with how colorful, bright, and dynamic the Mighty Bowser set is, I'm excited about it. And now for my 8th place set, up 2 spots from last video, is the SpiderMan Mask. A very similar set just came out that I think will help it, and the metrics are looking a little better. Here it is on Brickset, showing a 2-year shelf life. On eBay, it's going for $65 right now with 48 new listings. There are 32 sellers on Amazon, so the supply on the secondary market seems to be about average. There's no Amazon sales velocity data or Camel 3X data or even Bucky data because this is a Target exclusive. That's one of the reasons that I have it in my power rankings. No change to mentions and enthusiasm score at 8 and 2.0. The Brickset rating is 4.2, pretty good. And then the want to own ratio is really good at 58% with a 1061 and 1082. And like I foreshadowed, the Miles Morales mask, which is basically the same build with different colors and prints, is coming out the 1st of July. And this one actually looks really good to me. And so I think it helps each other, good complement. I don't love the build of the Spider-Man mask, but it is Spider-Man, super popular. And then most importantly on this one is just looking at comparables. We've got Star-Lord's helmet, also a Target exclusive, retired at the end of last year, retailed for $80, going for $80. It was on sale a lot. Carnage from a few years ago, I think this one was a store exclusive, $60 to $85. Venom from a couple years ago, $70 to $70, but was on sale a fair amount. Wolverine's Adamantium Claws, retired at the end of last year. This one I think will do pretty well. I got a few at about 35 or 40% off, so if it's going for retail, I'm doing pretty well so far. Nano Gauntlet, I think this was an Amazon exclusive, retired at the end of last year, $70 to $108 already. This has surprised a lot of us. And then Thor's Hammer, that was a Target exclusive, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, $100 to $160. I had this one pegged, beautiful set, so clean. So overall, yeah, that Target exclusive mask has a really good shot in my opinion. And remember, the first wave of Star Wars helmets did really, really well, and many Star Wars helmets are still doing well. In my 7th slot, I'm sticking with the Darth Vader helmet. Not my favorite set, very expensive, but those Star Wars helmets are tried and tested. I gotta go with it until they're not good. The shelf life is a long 4.5 years, but the Boba Fett helmet helmet had a really long shelf life, and that one is going from $60 to $80. Sold prices on eBay are $60 with shipping, well below the $80 MSRP. There are 315 new listings on eBay. That is 9 less than my last Power Rankings video, but basically a nominal change. And then on Amazon, there are 42 third-party listings. So clearly the supply is going to be huge on the secondary market. But now let's look at the demand. At 20% off, it's selling $4,000 a month. On Camel 3X, it's been on sale a fair amount. I certainly want it better than the $56. I'm hoping for high 40s right at the end of this year. But when we add third-party sellers, multiple times that it's gone above the recommended retail price. It got 3 more mentions recently in favor of investing in it, but it does have 4 against investing, and the E-score did drop by 0.2 to a 1.8. I won't waste your time looking at comparable helmets that have already retired. We've looked at those many times, but I will waste your time looking at the 3 new ones. The Jango Fett helmet came out in May of this year, looks really good. I love having the color in there. Kind of a nice middle ground from the Mando helmet and the Boba Fett helmet. And then the Kylo Ren helmet, not our favorite character, but I think it's a good looking helmet, and I hope they do another one with the red crack marks in there. And then the AT-AT driver helmet, very solid and I think pretty desirable overall. The reason I'm showing you these is because for a little while there, we were thinking that Lego was going to be done with the Star Wars helmet sub-theme. And of course, the more helmets we get, the better the previous helmets, including the Darth Vader, in my opinion, will do on the secondary market. So it's great to see this sub-theme alive and well. And there are many more that we would all like as Star Wars Lego fans. So overall, I think it's a little bit of a wild card. It feels like a game of hot potato with these helmets. Eventually, there's going to be one that doesn't do well. I can't imagine it's going to be Darth Vader because he is the primary character, the must-have in the Star Wars universe. I know it's been out for 4.5 years, but almost 18,000 people on Brickset own it, so the demand is there, and hopefully it overtakes the supply on the secondary market within a couple of years, but time will tell. My number 6 set is a newcomer to my Power Rankings, and it is a modular building. There's a couple of good ones to choose from, but I'm going with the Jazz Club. I think the boutique hotel build looks better overall, but the Jazz Club is more colorful, has some more pop, and most importantly, the metrics look better on that one. 3 years shelf life, $230 for almost 3,000 pieces. A 4.2 on Brickset, pretty solid for the modulars. In that 3-year shelf life, almost 12,000 members own it and a solid 4631 want it. That's about a 40% want to own ratio. On eBay, sold prices are averaging about $225 with shipping. And when I just looked, there are 59 new listings. Those are decent metrics, but over here on Amazon, we can see there are only 6 sellers, and a couple of weeks ago, it was around 10. The BrickBucks Ignite supply and demand data looks good. A lot of green here. Sales rank in the 35 to 50,000 range, which is great for a set that's more expensive. And then a lot of yellow on the right side of the table, meaning that when it goes out of stock, a pretty decent price that third-party sellers are getting for a set that hasn't retired yet. On my data table, it has 8 mentions with an enthusiasm score of 2.4. Quick look at the comparables. All of these modular buildings have grown in value. You get to the ones that have retired, like the police station, 200 to 240. Even the bookshop, which is the worst performing modular, is doing okay because a lot of people were getting this on decent discount, and it's holding at the retail price. And typically these values on Brickset are after you pay shipping and fees if you sell on a platform like eBay or Amazon. Then you come down to Corner Garage, 200 to 251. Downtown Diner was awesome, 170 to 301. And then I mentioned the Boutique Hotel. I do like it, but the reason I picked the Jazz Club over this one is that Boutique Hotel has a 4-year shelf life, so a year longer than Jazz Club. On eBay, it's only going for $210 instead of $225. There are 100 sellers on eBay compared to 59 for the Jazz Club. And then there are 20 Amazon listings for this set. And I think I'll get a shot at picking this one up for 25 or 30% off after stacking Rakuten and GWPs, promos, deals, sales, whatever it may be. And I think at that price, I'll do pretty well as an investment. Now turning the corner with my 5th place set, I am sticking with the City Mobile Construction Crane, the larger construction set that's out right now at $100. A little bit of a flyer maybe, but City construction sets historically do pretty well. We'll look at that data in a minute. A year and a half shelf life, 4.4 on Brickset. Fantastic. I misspoke. It's a $110 set for 1116 pieces. I'm okay with that price point. Look at all those wheels, the boom, the crane, very sizable, the outriggers. I love the cab, just how sleek and effective and tough and productive this set looks. Very realistic build, especially for a city set. I wish they had something different than a porta potty to be picking up, but I get, it's a lot of fun for the kids and it's a city set. On Amazon, the sales velocity is 400 $100 a month. That tells me that there won't be a lot of supply or oversupply on the secondary market. And of course, I want to compare against the city excavator, which has $1,000 per month. I did get a lot of questions in my first power rankings video about why the construction crane instead of the excavator is on tracks and it's a little bulkier in the cab area. But I just think that the mobile crane is a little more unique and flying under the radar a little bit. And here is the excavator on Brickset, the same 1.5-year shelf life, an even better 4.6, and a very solid $55 for 633 pieces. The crane is only doing $90 on eBay right now. That's $10 less than my last power rankings video. Both the crane and the excavator have about 50 new listings on eBay, so that's comparable. Amazon sellers for the crane is only 10, whereas the excavator, it's 19, so check mark for the crane. In terms of mentions on my table, they both only have 1 or 2, so completely flying under the radar. Certainly, I give the excavator an honorable mention, but the main reason I'm going with the crane is just because of the higher price point. With both sets available at the same time, I think more people are going to naturally gravitate to the less expensive set, which hopefully means less supply for this one on the secondary market. And as promised, we've got to look at the comparables here. The city construction sets that are out right now. This bulldozer is also pretty awesome. Pretty sizable at $65. Nice little steamroller at $10. Looks like some smaller 4+ sets, I think. And then we get into the older ones. It's a little loader retailed for 10 and it's showing 12. No big deal there. But now we get down to the sweeper and excavator from 2017, retailed for 30, showing 60. The service truck from 2016, 25 up to 47. The bulldozer 40 to 83. I know these sets are 10 years or older, but we haven't had many sizable city construction sets for a long time. So really, we're just getting back into a new wave. And odds are, once this wave ends in a year or two, we'll go another 5 to 10 years before some sizable city construction sets come back. So yeah, I'm just really excited about that set. The yellow, the construction, great playability. Kids love those kind of sets. Adults love collecting them. I have people around the office that have Technic and City and other unique Lego construction related sets. And so I just have a really good hunch on this one for what I would want to have in my own investment portfolio. Of course, I'm waiting for a discount. Most city sets can be found eventually at 30% off. My next set in 4th place is another one that is not moving position, and that is the Corsant Guard gunship. It will have just under a 2.5-year shelf life. It retails for $140 on eBay right now. It's going for $115. Not great, but the set has been on sale more often than not. But that $115 is $25 more than what it was going for during my previous power rankings video a few months ago. That's the good news, but the bad news is there are now about 90 new listings on eBay, which is a plus 25 from a few months ago. But only 26 Amazon sellers, pretty good for a Star Wars set. Sales velocity of 1,000 per month, not bad this time of year. On Camel 3X, yeah, been on sale a lot, but third-party new listings, pretty decent. Over the holidays, it jumped up to $175, even $200. And right now, when it's going out of stock on Amazon, it looks like a couple hit around $150. The supply-demand data in Ignite is very good. Sales rank below 10,000. Lots of daily drops, so a lot of green, and a couple of times when it's been out of stock and it's been above the retail price. Here on Brick Economy, which is not the most reliable, but the minifigure values are typically close enough, we can see that all 5 of them add up to about 50% of the retail price. And of those 5 minifigures, 3 of them are unique. Chancellor Palpatine, really good. Brickset is showing $21. The Shock Trooper is in 3 sets, so only valued at $5. But Commander Fox is exclusive, so $30. And Senator Amidala is also exclusive, but not the best minifigure, so only around $15. Unfortunately, the Brickset rating is only a 3.9, but the want to own ratio is pretty good. 3307 still want it for how available this set seems that it's been. It feels like it's been everywhere on good discount. So that's a 40% want to own ratio. On my data collection table, it has 14 mentions and a 1.9 enthusiasm score. That's 5 more mentions than a few months ago, and it's one of the higher mentioned sets so far. It's not too high. It seems like recently the sets get the most mentions on my table are just way oversaturated and not good investments. This one I feel like is far enough down that it'll be okay, but of course I want it better than the typical $111 sale price. Like I'd want it in the $90 to $95 range at most. So I'm liking this set primarily because of the demand data and because of the minifigure value that seems to be holding. But there's one new reason I like this set that I've not talked about in the past, and it is from this June 13th Brickset article pointing out something that is really interesting. I'm gonna scroll down and pop open this graphic for you. So this is Star Wars sets over the last 10 years. The red are minifigure scale play sets. And then you've got things like the yellow that are microfighters, the green are buildable figures, the dark blue Starship collections, the orange is large scale characters, we've got some mechs mixed in there. But look at here over the last 5 years, the percentage and whole number value of minifigure scale Star Wars play sets is way down. And typically the best performing Star Wars sets are minifigure scale ships in particular, but minifigure scale play sets. And so there aren't as many to choose from. I think the demand for each of them will be higher. The overall demand for Star Wars play sets seems to be holding pretty well. And fast forward a couple years when they want to pick up the sets they missed out on, there aren't going to be that many to pick from. And so each set individually should have higher demand. Now, obviously, the potential downside is for us investors, there are less to choose from. And so maybe they all are over hoarded and oversaturated. But a lot of us investors are looking at these other sets, hoping that we can find the next TIE Fighter pilot helmet, like the first wave and a new sub-theme. For example, the diorama collection. You guys know I got a bunch of the first wave, hoping that they would be undersupplied and the demand would be high. Unfortunately, that has not worked out. I got them on good enough discount. I'm not going to lose money on them. I'll still pull a 50 to 70% return on investment eventually. But now we're looking at, more helmets, for example, or some of the recent large scale characters, the mechs in particular. So we'll just have to see. Broadly speaking, this trend will influence the Star Wars secondary market. Exactly how remains to be seen. I'm hopeful that it helps with the minifigure scale playsets. Before we get to my top 3, here are my honorable mentions: the Medieval Town Square, the Ideas Insect Collection, the Target exclusive Ideas Viking Village, the $700 Technic Liber Crawler Crane, monster of a set that's more of an engineering product than a Lego set, Ninjago Source Dragon of Motion, Hogwarts Icons Collector's Edition, a set style that I typically wouldn't like, but all of these extra pieces are the book and movie props. It goes well together, very immersive in my opinion. This one is a sleeper. I like it. Triwizard Tournament. I've talked about this ship a lot lately. And lastly, many of the retiring speed champions, they continue to do well for me on Facebook Marketplace. Easy 100% ROI if and when I pick them up for $13 to $17. And now for my top 3, all sets moved in positions, and in third place was a big jump from 6 to 3. Batman, the animated series, Gotham City, that art kind of set. If it retires under a 2-year shelf life, $300 for 4210 pieces and 4 minifigures, with 3 of them are exclusive. It's a 4.6 on brick set. On eBay, it is $290. That's up $5 from a few months ago. Only 27 new listings on eBay. That's really good. And on Amazon, only 5 third-party listings. I can't imagine this one is going to have huge supply on the secondary market. Camel 3X looks really good. Before I click the third-party listings, I like this right here. It's never been on sale on Amazon. That's an indication that demand is strong and consistent. And then when we click on the third-party sales, a number of jumps when it's gone out of stock. It has 6 mentions, which is one more from a few months ago, but it dropped 2 tenths on the enthusiasm score down to 2. I'm okay with that. Another indication that it's not going to be overly hoarded. Here are those minifigures, the exclusive Batman with the dark bluish gray torso, black cape, and a lot of good printing, valued at $32. Catwoman, also exclusive, valued at almost, about $30. Oh, and I didn't see that. The used value of this Batman is $40, so maybe $40 and $30 for the first 2. Harley Quinn is in 2 sets, so around $10, and then this really good Joker exclusive at $30. Adding up the value of these minifigures, it's 35 to 40% of the retail value of the set. 1783 members own it. Not a huge number, but 2305 want it. That want to own ratio is over 100%. Looking at some comparables, we had the Shadow Box that retired at the end of last year, surprised us all, $400 to $492. I didn't get any, but I was really excited about this set. So unique, great display piece. I'm sure a great build. And in terms of those characteristics, even though this set looks very different, I think it has the same characteristics. Fun build, very unique, great display, and this one has a huge splash of color. So the metrics look great, but with all that said, I do have one cautious hesitation, which is that it's basically a micro build. And DG pointed this out. Many micro build sets typically do not do well. The mini Disney Haunted Mansion, the first one to retire in this kind of Disney mini castle sub theme, retailed for $40, showing 28 on brick set. We looked at this set earlier, and it's not terrible, and it did just retire in 2024, but I am curious, these micro builds in here, will it prevent it from getting up to 350? And maybe it stays closer to 250? The GWP MP micro rocket launch pad, showing 37 on brick set. Being that this is classic space and somewhat replica but in smaller scale with space babies, I feel like 37 is very low. All 4 of these micro Ninjago city builds that you could buy with insider points. If I recall, I think they were $14 or $20 in insider points, and here they are for 23, 25, 26. So yeah, all around $25. Those have not done well. And then we have some newer micro scale type builds, and I'll be curious to see how they do. This Diagon Alley, it looks really good, but how popular is it going to be? And then the Hogwarts Castle and Grounds. This one gets a fair amount of buzz for investing on the secondary market. It's not expected to retire this year, so there'll be a lot more talk about it next year, but I'm going to be cautious with both of those. But this set is so well designed. It includes minifigures. It has some windows that pop out with some elements that you can't see unless you go, put your hands on it and play with the set a little bit. So I think it's going to overcome the micro build issue that I'm concerned about. My second place set was my first place set last time, the Motorized Lighthouse, but I had to drop it down one position because the sold price on eBay is now $280, which is down $70 from the $350 it was a few months ago. I still think it's going to be an awesome set. Of course, I want it on a decent discount, but who knows if we'll be able to find this one more than 20% off. But regardless of all the data, it is an absolutely beautiful set, great build, and it is a sleeper. And yes, expensive at $300 for 2065 pieces. It comes with all the lighting and power and all that kind of stuff. It seems frustrating to pay basically $100 for all that. I haven't built it myself, but from what I've heard, at least it works well and the light is good and strong, and it looks like a really, really fantastic lighthouse that really can be an art piece in many people's houses or collections or even museums, offices. There's a lot of places this set could go. 3.5 year shelf life, 51 new listings on eBay. That's down 6 from last time. It's a decent number, not the best, but only 11 Amazon sellers right now, and it has a sales velocity of 400 per month. That's pretty good for a $300 set. Camel.com looks good. Never been on sale. I like that. And then popping third-party sellers. Recently, it's been jumping up to $350, $390, $440, $450. The jump started over the holidays, but it's great to see that the higher prices have continued up until relatively recently. It looks like more stock came in. On my table, 8 mentions and a 1.6 E-score, another indication that it will be undersupplied on the secondary market. Like I mentioned, a 4.5 Brickset rating. About 7,500 people own it on Brickset and just under 5,000 want it. That's about a 65% want to own ratio, and that want number of almost 5,000 for such an expensive set, that tells me good demand for a long time. And then I'll wrap up on the second place set by showing you the supply and demand. All green and a little bit of yellow. Look at that, 357, 381 when it has been running out of stock. A $300 set with a sales rank of 25,000 or less and 10, 12, 9 daily drops. A lot of good movement indicating high demand with this set. And now my number one set, you guys probably already know what it is. Many of you have been waiting to see where this one will hit on my list. Of course, it is the Lion Knights Castle. A Lego exclusive, 3.5 year shelf life, not bad for a Lego exclusive $400 set. 4514 pieces with 22 minifigures, 20 of them are exclusive. They're valued at $100 total. That's 25% of the retail price. Not terrible for some relatively plain minifigures, but castle minifigures are still great. The occasional one is doing pretty well, like the Lady of the Brave Lion Knights at $15. But again, the rest of these are basically city minifigures, but set in medieval times. But I still love them. I am emotionally attached to this set, even though I have not built it yet. A 4.7 on Brickset, over 10,000 own it. Another 6,000 want it. Very solid. On eBay, it's going for $450 with shipping, $50 over retail. 57 new listings is okay, but only 10 Amazon sellers. 10 mentions on my table with a 2.2 enthusiasm score. I feel like that's right in the sweet spot on the table. Not so much buzz that everybody's going to get, and of course the price point is going to keep a lot of people out from investing in it. There aren't a lot of recent comparables to look at, but we know the classic castle theme that ended over 10 years ago is still hugely popular, but castle's making a little bit of a resurgent here in the creator sub theme. We've got the new medieval horse knight castle, and then we scroll down and we see we have the 3-in-1 medieval castle that a lot of us liked. I picked up a few, I think at about 45% off if I remember. Retail for 100, showing 110 already. Retired last year. It's really sounding like we'll be getting a few more castle sets, and anybody that wants to make a decent castle scene is gonna have to have the Lion Knight's castle as its centerpiece. Even if Lego comes out with another large castle set, this one is so well built and designed that it will be a must-have centerpiece for so many people. And then one other interesting thing I want to show you is that on eBay, there are a lot of listings for just specific elements from this set, like a lot of shields, certain minifigures, helmets, the horses. So this set is full of many elements and goodies and uniqueness that could get many different people to decide, yep, I'm making it happen and getting this set, whether they like the overall castle build or they like the interior details, even the flags. The data probably doesn't justify it being my #1 set, but I'm getting on the hype train. A lot of people are talking about this set, but again, all the indications are that it won't be oversaturated on the secondary market, and that $400 price point will keep a lot of people out. All right, that's my power rankings top 10. Like I said, I'll do one more power rankings before all of these sets retire at the end of the year. Let me know in the comments where you think I'm crazy, where you agree with me. Give me your top 10. And as always, thanks a lot for watching. That's a wrap, and I will see you in the next one. Oh, and don't forget, my videos are for entertainment purposes only. I do not provide financial advice. You got to get that from somebody else.